Good morning, everyone. My name is Ashu Sharma. I welcome you all in series of this video learning. So today we have very good session, an important session on dependency injection. As we all know, dependency injection, as its name suggests, that a kind of dependency of certain entities, we can say a real world object. So in terms of if we talk about software engineering, dependency injection is a technique in which an object receives other object that it depends on, called dependencies. Typically, when we talk about client and the receiving object is called a client, that passed an object is called as a service. So dependency injection is a kind of pattern, usually you can say, that is used to create instance of objects that other objects rely upon, and without knowing at compile time. So certain instance that is going to be created of an object, and other objects are rely upon that instance, and you can say without knowing as far as that compile time is concerned. So that is something which is very important in database as well, and uh, the use of an interface or base class to abstract the dependency implementation. And generally, dependency injection is a kind of pattern that is used to implement that kind of you can say interfacing, or making that base class to abstract the dependency implementation. So it allow the creation of dependent objects, and outside of a class as well, and it is a kind of services or objects that a class needs to perform its function. So definitely it is a design pattern. It is something which is very important nowadays. We can say that in Angular or somewhere that where do we require certain kind of frameworks and backend connectivity with database. So definitely uh, that kind of services or objects that is capable enough to make another object, it is very important of that is depending on and creating on instance of different objects. So that is a very popular technique in programming, and very much suitable and suited to Android development. uh, Certain principles that there are to follow if we try to make it use as objects, and or a static method that supplies the dependency of another objects. So yeah, definitely mm, using dependency injection that can help make it easier to see what the component dependencies are. And it's a programming technique that make a class independent of its dependencies. It achieve the behavior of decoupling as far as that users is concerned. And when do we talk about in Android, basically that is a technique which is useful in the programming. So when we talk about that, the concept behind that, principle behind in Android itself, it's very important. So there are certain advantages that having like reusability of code, and ease of refactoring, ease of testing, a kind of modification and updations that's required in dependency injection is widely used, that technique. And these are the example, the advantages of reusability of code, reuses of code, and ease of refactoring and ease of testing. So when we consider this, uh, it's easy that what exactly the scenario behind the dependency injection. Classes often require references to other classes. Suppose I'm taking an example. There is a car class might need a reference to an engine class. So these required classes are called dependencies. And in this example, the car class is dependent on having an instance of the engine class to run. So car class require that reference of engine class, and so car class is dependent of having an instance of an engine class to run. So there are three ways for a class to get an object it needs. the class constructs the dependency it needs. In example, car would create and initialize its own instance of engine. Number two is grab it from somewhere else. Some Android APIs such as context getter or get system service work this way. And third is have it supplied as a parameter. The application can provide these dependencies when the class is constructed or pass them into the functions. So that need each dependency. So as a parameter, you can consider using some Android APIs, getter and get system services, or even though class constructs the dependencies it needs. So car would create and initialize its own instance of engine. So yeah, in among these three, that the supplied as a parameter, that third option is dependency injection. With this approach, you take the dependencies of a class and provide them rather than having the class instance obtain themselves. So when you talk about as a parameter, the app can provide these dependencies when the class is constructed or pass them into the functions that need each dependency. So car constructor would receive engine as a parameter, and you can say pass as a parameter. So very much in uses, and definitely it's important. Major ways do dependency injections in Android. So constructor injection, this is the way described uh, as above I have described. You pass the dependencies of class of its constructor. And field injection or setter injection. A certain Android framework classes such as activities and fragments are instantiated by the system. So constructor injection is not possible. With field injection, dependencies are instantiated after the class is created. So that's why you can say a car class having that engine into A10, you can say that car and engine are tightly coupled, and in instance of car uses one of type engine and no subclasses or alternatives. So car, if that car class were to construct its own engine, you would have to create two types of car instead of just using the same car for engines of type gas or electric. So yeah, there is some hard dependencies also. So better way of going to pass this as a parameter and pick it a dependency of making that parameter, and can provide these dependencies when the class is constructed or pass them into the function that need each dependency. So this is that about this session, what exactly the dependency injections, what are the ways you can say of implementation and the advantages. That's a brief discussion. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Take care.